Hello and welcome to I Hate Music. Today I have Dylan Neal from Thief. How's it going, Dylan?
It's good.
Awesome. Good to see you, man. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah.
Since we've spoken in the flesh, kind of in the virtual flesh, I guess, as it is. I'm really excited about this one, actually. This your new record is probably my album of the year. I adore it. It's so great. It's
Fuck yeah.
I mean, I loved Map of Lost Keys. I feel like this one is even more rich and deep, provocative, confounding. It's all at once beautiful and confusing, and I love it so much.
Thank you.
It was kind of a grower for me, though. Honestly, first couple listens.
Yeah.
Definitely some curveballs I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, things like Apple Eaters kind of threw me a little bit. Just so catchy. Scorpion Mother. Yeah. Anyway, I'm really excited about the record. I absolutely love it. Been listening to it almost nonstop. So yeah, I really wanted to get you on the podcast to talk about the record. I want to talk about production techniques, writing, whatever you want to share. It would be totally awesome. But first, I want to talk about a little bit about the transition from Map of Lost Keys to the new record, 16 Deaths. Like, did you go into this record with like any different ideas, or were you thinking like kind of like expanding the formula of the first one, or were you thinking like, what were your thought processes around this new record?
I think the core, my first thought going in is I wanted to make some more like heavier, darker, aggressive stuff.
Yeah.
And directly sort of inspired from playing live. We've played live together, and like Thief is a lot heavier live. And that shit is so much fun to play. Like even like when we play a somewhat softer track on an album, it's louder and just heavier live. So I wanted to, I wanted to capture some of that. And to play them live, but also I just wanted to capture that sort of feeling of Thief on a record. Because I think the prior two records, they have their moments, but they're not quite heavy all around.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see what you're saying there. I mean, that's what convinced me to love Thief, was seeing you guys live. I mean, I love the records, but it was a totally different experience. Seeing you live with Chris and Robert, it's a much different experience.
So
that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then, I can't remember if I had like a transition plan out of Map of Lost Keys so much. I knew that, what was I going to say? I knew it was going to be a longer album, because I had a lot more ideas, and I had a lot more sort of tracks already in the making. Gear, like the gear I use, sort of directs my writing process. So for every album, I usually drop a couple nickels and buy some new gear. Yeah. So that definitely influences that. So on this album, there's just a little bit more modular synth on it.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted some really pretty moments, directly inspired by the ending, the last half of the last track on Map of Lost Keys.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that real big washy. It's not synths. It's actually, it's like 3 or 4 different orchestral tracks stretched out. And I just put them sort of in the same key, and I messed with like, it's a lot of it's not stretched out so much. It's more, it's playing through a granular synth.
Okay.
So you're just getting all these little bits of different ones at the same time. Anyway, I wanted some of that. I also I wanted to make some fucking pop bangers still be Thief. So that's how Apple Eaters and Loverboy came about. Is I just wanted to do it. There's some pop music that I like, and but I wanted to make it dark and sort of fierce.
Yeah.
You don't hear a lot of fierce pop music.
Yeah, and I think Apple Eaters for sure makes me think of that, like fierce pop music. And that's kind of what I mean about it. It took me by surprise. Like one thing I loved about Thief is you do have a lot of catchy moments and catchy songs, but I feel like this record is even more so. This was like, especially like I said, like songs like Apple Eaters, but like Scorpion Mother is the one that sticks in my head the most.
Oh yeah.
The choruses on that.
That's like the true trip hop track on the album.
Your vocals on that song are just so bright and clear and I don't know, just serene. It's a super catchy song.
Thank you. Yeah, vocal production I would say throughout the album is much more pop-ish, and that they're much more upfront. Production wise. And then I think the other sort of guiding line I had was I knew the lyrics were going to be a little less opaque. I was going to let myself be a little more like vulnerable with the honesty.
Yeah. More direct.
Yeah, because a lot of times, I'll sing about something, but it's usually cloaked in some sort of analogy or mystical illusion or monster or creature or something. And while that still occurs, it's a little more direct.
Yeah, everything I write makes no sense at all to anybody but me. So I definitely know what you mean. That's interesting. I can see a little bit of that. I felt like some of the lyrics seemed like pretty apparent. Like, this is like, oh, this is definitely what you're talking about, or at least it appears that way to a listener. One thing that was completely opaque to me was the weird grid map thing you had of instruments linked to the songs. I sat there for like 30 minutes, like trying to like put all that together. Like, that's insane, man. Can you explain a little bit what that's about?
Yeah. So if you have, either, or if you have the vinyl and you open it up, like you said, there's all the lyrics in the songs, but there's weapons all over the artwork, and each weapon has a name, and the name is a piece of gear. Okay. And then from that piece of gear, or the weapon that it represents, is a line or a grid that goes to the corresponding song that it appears in. So it really makes this cool sort of like, it looks like a motherboard almost. It does.
It's really cool. Yeah, I was getting lost in that for a while. I was trying to figure out like when the line points to the part of the song, is that where it appears, or is it more of a general, like it's just in this song somewhere?
It's in that song somewhere. Okay. Yeah. So multiple songs will have the same weapon, it'll have the same line, but and then some of the pieces of gear, like the microphone I use mostly, it's on every song. So then that's just represented by a little symbol. Okay.
That's the part that was kind of tripping me up. I was trying to figure out the difference between the symbols and all that. Yeah. It's a really cool idea, man. I really loved it. And especially for like looking at it on the vinyl, it's just like this big graphic of lyrics and like this motherboard looking thing and the weapons. And it was totally kind of stolen from Aphex Twin's Cyro album. He has like, he more has like it's just a circle of all the gear he used that shows this, but I really loved that. And I remember growing up, and still to this day, I like trying to find out what gear certain artists use. Yeah. And so that was sort of like, so I'm like, well, I should do that. I should just say what I used, and and then what was the other thing? I can't remember. Yeah. Well, especially since you're just stating that your gear is so important to the writing and the creative process, it makes sense that you would represent it somehow. I'm sure that you're familiar with Blood Incantation.
Yeah.
So before the last Blood Incantation record came out, Paul was texting me these weird diagrams that he was drawing up. And when you told me about that, it reminded me of Blood Incantation, because he was showing these diagrams of how he was making spaceships out of his pedal board for his guitar. And then it came out in the record. If you get like the special version of the album, you can see these diagrams he made, but it's like his pedal board turned into a spaceship somehow. I don't know. It was way beyond me, and some ancient alien shit stuck in there too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And shout out to Luis Cuervo. He did the layout design for the album. So I just emailed him like a shitty drawing of me, like, you know,
Sure,
like how I wanted to look, and he really brought it to life. He was amazing.
I guess I didn't realize that he did that. I mean, I only knew of him recently. I didn't realize that he did the record too. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just a general statement for anyone listening: gear rules, but also fuck gear.
Yeah.
Like you don't need, like, the first Thief album, there's no gear. It's 95% Ableton and stock plugins and just samples.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree with you. It can be a great tool, but it can also be a crutch and a hindrance too.
Yeah, and you can spend so much time on gear, like learning it and playing with it. You'll never make anything, you know.
Oh, plugins, you can sit there and futz with them for 3 hours or 3 weeks or 3 years, and you never get anywhere.
I know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I have so many plugins that, like, fucking the Instagram algorithm, it got me. It shows me this sick plugin. I buy it and I never use it. Yeah, you know, or I you know, it's, I never needed it.
Yeah, use it once or twice, and
yeah.
That's awesome. Should we get into the record?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so this is your newest record on Prophecy Productions. It was released July?
August, yeah.
August.
August 27th.
August 27th on Prophecy. Best way to get it is through Prophecy mail order, or?
It depends. If you're in the U.S. and you want to support me,
and
get it through my Bandcamp.
Okay.
But I'm out of vinyl. So so if you want vinyl, get it through Prophecy. If you're overseas and you want anything, get it through Prophecy. Save yourself crazy shipping fees.
Right. Okay.
That pulsating is the Simulus Iteratus Alter module. So
yeah, modular gear. Did you dive into it a lot or just a little bit?
A lot. You know, there was some of it in, I had one row, 104 HP on Map of Lost Keys, and now I have 2 rows.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm done. It's so expensive.
It's so expensive. I've never toyed with it, but every now and then I have people, even yesterday, Daniel Menchie was like, hey, I've got some modular gear I'm selling. Do you want some? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like,
it's a black hole.
I'm struggling with what I have already, you know?
Yeah, so. Yeah, so that particular module is this whole song.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the same module going through Spring Reverb.
Okay.
I love Spring Reverb.
Me too.
So this lyric, do you know what it means to bleed out today's from? It's from a dream I had. I have no idea what the dream was about at the time, but I fucking loved the lyric, and I just kept the lyric. I wrote it down, and later it started to morph meaning to me, you know, through the lens of my life.
I love that. Do you write down stuff a lot?
Yeah. I mean, look at these are just cards from today. I like writing on cards.
Yeah. Well, I was just noticing, like, even when we're talking, you're like writing stuff down.
Yeah. Just words or ideas or doodles, you know.
Yeah.
I lose half of them, but.
So I'm noticing here too, like, a lot of interesting panning work.
Yeah. It's a head fuck.
Yeah. It seems like you've been really experimenting with the stereo field even more on this record, with panning and.
Yeah, it's an instrument for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Like right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so rad.
It can help create like a really nice sense of rhythm, and you know, it's also the IDM influence in me.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about this record is it seems like there's a lot more like this type of like almost like IDM glitchy stuff. Like you had some of that on the last records, but I feel like you brought it even more into this record.
It appears. Here's a fucking heavy crusher part.
Yep. The choral stuff.
And that fuzz is a bass guitar going through a fuzz factory.
Okay.
Module. That my friend bought me the module of that.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
because usually it's a guitar pedal.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is a pretty trip hoppy song too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the snare just reeks of trip hop.
Yeah. And that synth that's a Prophet 6. That's not mine, it's Chris's, and I borrow it all the time. That's my favorite synth, but
it sounds
I can't afford it.
Yeah, even here your vocals are way more up front than they were previously, I feel like.
Yeah, I felt like I didn't have to hide it as much also, you know?
No, yeah.
More confidence. So this is there's a Buddhist chant that's like, I am one with blah 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 blah.
Okay.
You list like names of the Buddhas and stuff, and I just made it evil.
I love it. So let's talk about that a little bit. This is something that, even though we've become friends over the last few years, I don't really know much about, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you live in a Buddhist temple. That's right, yeah. Okay. How does that work? Is that... because you live there with Chris, too, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a Zen Buddhist temple that a monk named Maizumi Roshi started in the 60s. And it's basically, you live here, you pay rent, although it's less, it's not, it's usually under market rate, with the intent to train in Zen Buddhism. Okay. And that looks like, you're meditating with the community, the Sangha. Often, you have daily or weekly chores, sweeping, helping the place, participating in events and helping steward things along, and most importantly, working closely with your teacher,
right,
or teachers. Like my teacher lives here, and it's great for retreats because we have retreats here, and I don't have to go anywhere.
Sure, yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. So Chris lives here. Is about, I think there's 20 apartments, maybe 18 or 20.
Is that hard to get into?
Yeah, there's a waiting list and an interview process.
Okay.
And they got to know your face. They got to make sure you're here for the right intentions.
Right.
Not just for slightly cheaper rent.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there have been people here that move in and you never see them.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another thing I want to talk about. This song.
Yeah.
Teenage Satanist.
Yeah.
Is this one of those songs where you're wearing your heart on your sleeve more and being more direct?
Yeah, it is sort of a portrait of an artist as a young thief.
Yep, that's kind of what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like this one out of every track on this record was one that surprised me, not only musically but lyrically and thematically.
Yeah.
It was just, for me, just kind of out of left field. I didn't expect something like this.
Yeah.
But it totally grew on me. I mean, it's catchy as fuck and it's heavy as hell too.
Yeah. This one I was so stoked on. It was the second track I finished for the album.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I'm stoked. Let's finish this album. This is going to be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is Mutable Instrument Clouds module. Here is a lady talking in German about an organ, church organ in Lübeck, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
She's just talking about it. I found some record that's just about some organ in Lübeck.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And it'll play for about 2 minutes, and then this German lady will talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And just fit somehow. Oh, what's up?
So did you really have a dog named Avarice?
No.
Okay. Damn it.
That'd be tight. No. But if I had a familiar at that time, it would have been named Avarice for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool because it connected with me, and I'm sure it connects with a lot of people that are, I'm not going to insult you by saying that you're like me, but people like us that are not in our teen years anymore, but we still identify with a lot of things that we did back then to certain degrees.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool when you put it on Instagram, like, here's a photo of me in high school. Like,
yeah,
and it's like, yeah, like we're all that, like, I feel like there's so many people that are doing what they're doing now, but we're also doing that or something adjacent back then. And I think that should be celebrated. And I felt like that song was kind of tapping into that a bit too.
Yeah, I still very much cherish that spirit.
Yeah.
Of rebellion, which there's a lot of on the album.
Yeah.
But there's of course a lot of pitfalls.
Sure.
Associated with that, because it can easily be a coping mechanism, or a core belief that doesn't exactly serve you or the world.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. But I appreciate it that it was kind of, it's not disregarded. It's not, thrown in the bin and forgotten about. You're like, I was a teenage Satanist. Like, that's awesome.
And at the very end of the song, it's sort of obscured, but I say still am.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's cool. And, like, I mean, as, like, absolutely nerdy as it was, like, I carried the Necronomicon in my jacket pocket every day in high school,
That's awesome.
And it wasn't because I was, like, overtly satanic or anything like that. It was a source of power for me in a place where I felt powerless. In a community that I felt powerless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's what metal was for me.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It still is. I mean, I listened to the new Cannibal Corpse record, and I'm like, I am God, Like, it fills me with power.
That's awesome. What is that, their 18th album?
Something like that. But, dude, have you listened to it?
No, I need to. Okay. They do the same thing perfectly every time, and I love it.
Okay, my last podcast, I spent 30 minutes raving about the new Cannibal Corpse, so I'm not going to do it this time. But
I'll listen to it.
It's their best record, in my opinion, since Tomb of the Mutilated.
Wow, holy shit.
It's got Eric Rutan on it. It's like a whole new breath of life. It's amazing. It's so good.
Oh, hell yeah. I'll definitely check it.
But Scorpion Mother, this song, is my favorite on the album, so I don't want to pass this up. Oh, really? This is my favorite.
All right.
It was kind of a slow grower for me as well, but the organ on this song, your vocals on this song, it's so catchy. I mean, like this here, and just All Hail, like All Hail. It gave me that source of power. Like, it just made me feel like, I don't know. There's a lot of things with this record where I felt like it related to me or the person that I used to be in ways a lot of records don't.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that because a lot of this is coming from that place for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Organ. There's a lot more organ on the album I'm working on now. It's just so vampiric sounding.
Oh man, it sounds like Cradle of Filth in the best way possible. It's like
I'll take it.
Not meant as a diss by any means, but
yeah,
that organ sounds so great.
Yeah, there's one of the very brief moments guitar is actually used on this album. Is that bring a bang, bring a bang?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's
such a great song.
That song really is one of my favorites, I think. It just came out really well. It was one of the last tracks I made, too.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember what made this synth sound. Yeah, more in line with the negative Teenage Satanist side.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I believe this is the I can't pronounce this. Laquatic Ateritas.
Mm-hmm.
Noise Engineering. They make a lot of great, harsh modules.
Yeah.
And there's the other guitar.
Oh yeah, I hear it in the right channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know on Map of Last Keys you're using some records that you would find like choral records and sampling them and modifying them and all that. Were you doing that here too for the choral parts?
Yeah. I'd say probably 80% of the maybe 90% of the choral stuff you hear is sampled from a record and mangled in some way.
Right.
Very rarely will I use a synth. I usually only will for a pad. So that really little. Did you hear that bell? The guy going like, and there's a bell.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is. Hold on. There's more guitar here. This riff is fucking hard. So that is the sound of a guy in Iceland I recorded protesting outside of their city hall.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've 2009. I've had it sitting on a dictaphone forever.
Okay, that's awesome. So you just took that one little part.
Yeah.
That's rad. Is that two different keyboard lines there?
It's a guitar, a bass, and a keyboard.
Okay.
All playing the same thing. I think you could really hear my acid bath influence on this one.
Yeah.
Just the low reciting of lyrics, weird stuff.
And so you mixed all this too, right?
Yeah. Mix all my stuff. It's the first time I sent it out to get mastered, though.
Right.
I just wanted to try it.
It's totally worth it, I think.
Oh yeah.
Have somebody else master it.
Cost an arm and a leg, and it was the same. The guy who did it also masters Billie Eilish and The Locusts. So,
oh, rad! I love both those artists, actually.
yeah, me too. So this guy talking is reciting something from the Bible. It's just some vinyl I found.
Okay.
Of I can't. I'd have to look. I don't remember exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
I remember getting this part down to sound heavy took a very long time. It's usually the track will be finished quickly, and then there's usually like one section that takes forever to get sounding right.
Getting the tones correct and the feel right.
Yep.
Just goes to show you can't trust demons these days.
It's true.
Yeah.
If it's a condition and not a curse, and who
so this part coming up has taiko drums. You know those big Japanese drums?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. We have one here at the temple. Oh wait, no, it's the part after this one.
Okay.
So that cracking, as I'm hitting the rim of the drum.
Okay.
Not the actual membrane.
Right.
And now it's gone.
That's awesome. Big, burly, heavy. Is that bass?
Yeah.
And this, yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually originally forever I've been working on a black metal-ish record. And this is one of the riffs on it.
Okay.
So maybe if it ever gets released, you'll hear it in that context with blast beats.
Right.
And that is Mutable Instruments Clouds running in the Easter egg mode. Makes this beautiful, washy, bright, electric sound.
Yeah.
With a little chorus on it. There it goes.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
So we play this song live, but we don't do the intro. But I might want to try doing the intro.
Was this the first single off the record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured I should do the tried and true route where you release like the,
right,
the catchiest song.
The catchy one, yeah.
Yeah. Which
Tom G. Warrior approved.
Yeah, holy shit, dude, that was so cool. Oh my god. That was great.
Yeah, I was excited for the record, and so I posted this video on Facebook, and Tom Warrior saw it and actually shared it on his own Facebook.
Oh, I love it.
That was awesome.
So the beginning, that high falsetto voice, I was singing through this like really shitty tape recorder I bought for like $15.
Okay.
Little dictaphone with the micro cassette case, yeah. And I think this is it in 9? No, it's in 7. Let me see, hold on, I forget. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's a shifting meter.
Yeah, it seems like it's like 4 and then 7 or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm also not good at theory.
It's tricky for me too.
Yeah, yeah. I took, music theory up to level 2 or 3, level 2 in college, and I retained none of it. Yeah. I was fucking high the whole time,
Yeah, I was too much of a death metal kid to pay attention too much. I was like, I just want to play grindcore,
Yeah. How do I blast faster? That's all I want to know.
I want my bass to be like Shane Embury style, distorted, and play songs that sound like Carcass. So
yeah.
I feel like I can count anything in 4. To me, like everything sounds like 4 because I can count 4. So it's like I don't know. It's confusing for me for sure. So this video was really interesting, and I feel like in a lot of your videos you are working with some kind of masked figure. I'm not going to ask you to reveal what that's about, but I do find it really interesting how your videos have this like surreal aspect to it. They're always like pretty dark, kind of surreal. Are these like concepts directly taken from the song, or do you kind of have like a separate idea that you work the song into, or how do you come up with these ideas for the videos?
It varies. I think for this one, so to me, as long as the video encompasses the mood of the song. But yeah, this one was sort of directly influenced by the lyrics of the song. And I don't know how the idea exactly came to me. It's probably because I watched The Professional a million times when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I knew I didn't want to be in the video.
Right.
And I'm so sick of, I don't like doing that. And I just thought like, probably what happened, I can't remember for sure, but all the rest of the videos, I usually just sit there quietly with my eyes closed and just let images come to my mind while I'm listening to the song, and trust that that's what it needs to be.
Sure, yeah,
and
that's great.
Even and if it doesn't make sense to me, I'll find my way there.
Yeah. And
I just saw a girl with a sniper rifle shooting people or aiming at first shooting people. I'm like, no, that's not it. And then I was like, oh, she's gonna be looking for something and seeing these horrific images or these strange images going on. Yeah. That was fun and scary to shoot because we didn't have a permit. And we're in the middle of downtown LA
with a rifle,
with a fucking sniper. Yeah, every time a helicopter came by, we'd like break down and hide the gun. You know?
Oh my god! Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary. We were very rushed.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. This is the track I think I was most hesitant to put on the album.
Really? Why is that?
It's just, I feel like it's pretty different, at least to me. And I mean, totally there's hip hop influence in what I do, but I am not a rapper. And I don't consider this rapping, but I knew people would.
Yes.
And I don't want to be that.
Right. I totally understand why you would think that. I feel like it borders on that a little bit. I wouldn't consider it rapping necessarily.
Yeah. It's like trip hop, like tricky talk rhyming.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
This song, I'm gonna try to figure out how to put this the most accurate way. I'm curious about okay, it's that line right there. My favorite clubs have spikes through it.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? My favorite clubs have spikes through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so, the clubs I like have spikes. The only clubs I like have spikes through it or something like that, yeah.
So when I first heard that line, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it really encapsulated the spirit of what you're doing musically in a way I didn't really think about it before. To me, Thief is it's a very electronic project, but you're very much living in like an extreme metal scene. You're signed to Prophecy, you're in Botanist, you are, definitely come from like a metal background, but you're doing all this electronic, like almost like club music at times that kind of melds with black metal. And I remember Map of Lost Keys was billed as like a mix of like choral music and black metal and all this. And that line, it totally combines like this like club scene culture and black metal in like one line. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And at first I was kind of confused by the line. I was like, oh my God, like, do I like that line? It's like, it's almost like silly in a way. And then the more I listened to it, I was like, no, man, that's fucking badass. Like, it's like you're playing with all these like trip hop beats and like even like hip hop beats and all this, and you're like, but then you're talking about clubs with spikes through it.
Yeah.
it's so unique. It just really engages and fascinates me. And that line for me was just like, yes. Like, I'm so glad he said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. That's right on the money. I thought it was like a very, like awesome, cheeky line. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I wanted to make a shirt with that on it, that line, the clubs I like and spikes through it, but it's expensive doing merch.
It sure is.
Yep. As you know.
Yeah.
So this whole last half of the song, starting from the last time I say the clubs I like have spikes through it, was written in like 2014.
Okay.
And I just had this piece of a song sitting around forever with no home.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make a beginning to it, and yeah, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's so heavy.
Yeah. I wish I had the snare up a little louder there, though. Mixing regrets. Now you'll never unhear it.
So you rented a cabin for a while and mixed this record, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Funny enough, not explicitly, but to help finish the extreme vocals for this album.
Oh,
and
okay.
I did all the lyrics for this song in that cabin.
Okay.
And I even changed some of the lyrics, like the beginning line, 3 ravens or whatever on my path. Like, I was literally hiking, and it was like the most fucking ominous scene. I came around a switchback, and there were just 3 giant ravens standing there right in front of me in a row.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I know what this song needs.
Right.
And it fit perfectly. Yeah. But yeah, I did it so I could mix loud all day, all night, no distractions, and to scream as loud as I want without bothering anyone. This track also, I think I'd had sitting around since 2015.
Okay.
Not near as polished and completed, but like this part was done and the beginning part was done. No lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
But I often have these like skeletons of ideas from who knows how long ago.
Yeah.
That I know it's not the right time yet, but it will find a home.
Yep.
I think this is like the most IDM of the album.
It's heavily IDM.
Yeah. I think I'm just turning on and off distortions. And then fucking with the
panning and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So the synth on this is just a very simple Korg Volca bass.
I've got one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So the bass and the lead in this little interlude is all this.
Okay. Those things are so cool.
I know, man. That was my entry point into modular gear. Is I got one of those.
Yeah. I have that and the Korg Microbrute.
Yeah, I got one of those too, dude, right in front of me.
Really? Yeah, me too. Mine's right here. But I think you saw it in my live show. I did. I pair those two together and do weird little blips and beats and stuff with them, and it's so cool to be able to do that. That's the only time I've ever really played with anything modular like that. It's just those two, together.
Yeah, they're great. Semi-modular.
Yeah.
Gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Into gear that's so unnecessarily complicated and expensive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think those two pieces of gear, that's all you need for monosynths,
Oh man, the Microbrute I've used on so many different things. And the Volca bass too. I had a couple of the smaller ones too, like the Monologue or something. And those are really cool too, but they break. I just break them, man. They're like,
oh really?
They're like $50, and I play one show and it's broken. So
yeah. The screaming here was. I had this great huge window that looked out from the second. It was a huge cabin. I didn't need that much room. Second story, this big window looking out, and just screaming at like 3 a.m.
That's awesome.
It was super
so great,
black
man.
metal.
I love that. Yeah.
It was fun.
It's so great to have a space to just focus like that in, and especially a space that's not yours. A change of scenery is so inspiring, and
it helps me focus. And unfortunately, it didn't have air conditioning, and I was sweating my tits off during a heat wave in the summer.
Yeah,
but this is another favorite of mine. I think also one of the first few tracks finished.
Okay.
Probably also the most. Man, this one, like, I wrote at a really fucked up point. I was not feeling good.
Recently, or was this a while back?
This was probably in 2019.
Yeah.
Made a great song, though.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. The thing that stuck out about this song to me is that sometimes it's hard for me to differentiate between your bass and your synths. And this one, I'm like, this sounds like a bass. It sounds.
It's both.
Is it? Yeah. It just. I feel like I can hear the strings flopping a little bit from being detuned.
It's tuned to like B, and I'm using normal gauge strings. Yeah, the beginning is bass guitar, and then here during the choruses, there's also a synth.
Sure. Okay.
I believe it's a IntelliGel Dixie 2 module.
Okay.
Just a normal oscillator.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah.
It's from Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
That's great.
It's all. I'll try to. There's been a couple other ones. I'll try to point it out when they appear. It's all throughout the album.
That's so cool.
I fucking love that game. It's got a vibe. It's so cool because you think you beat the game. It's all in this giant church cathedral. Here's another one. That little whip.
Yeah.
Is like a sword swipe.
That's so great.
I know. And then when you think you've beaten the game in this cathedral, the cathedral turns upside down, so all the crosses become inverted.
Oh shit!
It's it is fucking metal. Yeah, it's rad.
The only cross I like is inverted.
Yeah. Turn that cross upside down.
That's right. I love hearing about like the little tiny details like that you wouldn't know unless the person that made it told you.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's like it's so great. I love it because I've done it so much myself, and like I want to share it with people. I want to be like, hey, like this little tiny thing that you barely even notice, like
yeah. This is this whole backstory behind it.
Yeah.
There it was again. That comes in and out of the choruses. Yeah, because while it is just a simple little sound, like I have a whole history. There it is again.
Yeah,
with a whole history with that. With when you add those things, you're adding a like nostalgia part of you.
It's a piece of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that type of stuff, or just hearing about people like, even when you're saying like, oh, I wrote this 10 years ago and this is like something that I loved but I didn't work until now, and I worked that in. And like little samples from other things like video games or whatever. I love that stuff. It makes me so happy, and it really adds so much to the recording too when you have just even little things that are almost imperceptible. It's so great. That's why I love Disco Volante in California.
Yeah. God, I love that album. There's a little gunshot there from the game.
That's so great.
What's next? This one almost didn't make it on the album.
Really?
Not because I didn't like it. I was just like, fuck. Do I really want that many tracks?
16.
And then I was like,
yeah.
And then, but then I was like, 16 Deaths sounds way cooler than 15 Deaths.
It does. Way better.
Yeah. I also want this on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
This is from a Byzantine chant thing. Much harder to incorporate into music because it's microtonal often.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they don't use equal temperament.
Right.
You know, they use whatever. So I think I had to do some clever editing.
Yeah, it works really well.
Yeah. This is another one of the heavy bangers. I want to do this one live too. What am I doing here? I think I love playing with feedback. Just slamming a compressor or something. Okay, I'll explain it better. So you hear all this like static in the background, just faded. So anytime you use a delay-based, a time-based effect, it has artifacts.
Right.
So if you put like a utility plugin after that and you crank it to like 300 dB and then put a compressor, you'll hear all the artifacts that it's adding.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on there.
The artifacts.
Yeah. So the ending line here, I didn't have a line. I couldn't think of one. So I'm like, fuck it. And I would just like let the tape roll, and this literally just came out of my mouth.
Okay.
And my poor neighbors, I did that one in my apartment. And then I was like, oh shit, and I had to go back and change other lyrics because I'm like, I want the song to revolve around that.
Oh yeah, so you're onto something.
Yeah. And then here you can hear more artifacts, and I'm also using I don't remember what it's called. It's a little microphone. It's not a piezo microphone. It picks up the sounds of electronics. And if you put it on like a phone, a laptop,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
it'll pick up the sounds going on in it. So I think I used it there. I can't really remember.
Yeah, I used to have one of those for a phone, and I would like record stuff through my phone back in the 90s. You know.
Yeah.
Little suction cup deal.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. This almost was a single, but it didn't make it as one. I've also got another version of it with like a whole extra 2 minutes at the end.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there was a whole thing I chopped, and I was on the fence about it. And Chris was like, it's perfect without it. It's rad with it. Just release it later with. And I was like, I think you're right. Because I bounced a lot of stuff off Chris.
Sure.
A lot of like, so you can hear there's a normal choir, and then on top of it it's the same choir pitched up and I think reversed. So
okay.
So there's two layers of it. It's actually not a real organ or organ plugin. It's a synth that just sounded like an organ. I think it was just Massive, if you know the Massive.
Yeah. Yep.
VST. Yeah.
I love it how it's just like so staccato. It's just out.
Yeah.
Out.
Out. Out. Out. Yeah. It's hard singing like that in my apartment, man. I know my neighbors can hear me.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah. But I just turn the lights off, put on mood lighting, and just pretend that no one can hear me.
Yeah.
Luckily, I know my neighbors, so it's
Right.
not that weird, you know?
Yeah. No complaints or anything?
Yeah, sometimes I get a complaint from whoever's below me.
Okay.
I don't. My room does not have bass treatment, and so I think it really rattles.
Yeah.
But not from singing. It's always just the music.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I'm saying there. It's like I'm saying something through some effect. I don't remember what it is though. Oh well.
It's such a cool transition there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, this was an old track too. I had the beat sitting around forever with kind of somewhat lyrics like this. To me, this one, I'm like, oh, this guy listens to Mobb Deep for sure. It's like the dark hip hop sort of backing.
I should have known with the tarot cards I had. Killed the cross, reading that I'd go mad. Slow to grow, slow to let go. All I have now are dreams where you scream no. And in these dreams I bend her over sinister. She disappears before I can finish her.
True vampire state here.
Totally.
Black witch and the moaning sounds. The coven houses I raise up her skull. The serpent tongue start chanting babble.
I never noticed that howl in there before.
Yeah, oh yeah, the wolf howl, yeah. That howl is from a record of Robert Redford talking about wolves and their importance and extinction rate.
That's hilarious you brought that up, because growing up in Montana, the big thing in Yellowstone Park was the reintroduction of wolves in the late 80s, mid to late 80s or something like that. And one day Robert Redford came into my class and gave a speech on the reintroduction of wolves.
Oh wow, yeah, I think he was had a big part in that.
Yep. Yeah, and in Bozeman, where I grew up, there's a lot of famous people would basically summer there. Get away from everybody, and they have these huge mansions in the mountains. And so Robert Redford is one of those people, and he came to my class and talked about the reintroduction of wolves into Yellowstone. So.
That's awesome. I forgot there actually is a Mobb Deep loose reference in this song when I say crestfallen and I can't get up. There's a Mobb Deep lyric where he says I've fallen and I can't get up.
Okay. Nice.
I fucking love Mobb Deep. That little squeaky synth is some VST. It's a soft synth. That bright synth is a MX202. Harpsichord.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I love harpsichords. Harpsichord and organ, man.
Oh yeah.
I wish I don't know how I made this sound, and I wish I knew. It's like a sucking.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I don't know, because I wanted to do it again for another song, and I couldn't remember how I did it. That's the issue with modular, is once you unpatch those cables.
Oh shit! Yeah,
it's gone. I've tried taking pictures, and it just doesn't happen. The ambient palette cleanser. So this is some chant music, I can't remember where from, running through a make noise morphogene, a really cool granule synthesizer module. It kind of functions as a tape machine almost, and it's pitched up a little bit, quite a bit, and then it's sort of quickly, randomly grabbing little pieces of data or from it. So it's just like chopping in and out. I've probably got an hour worth of tracks like this, and I have this idea, and I might do it. I want to release just a tape, like 50 tapes, maybe 100 of ambient work like this.
That'd be awesome.
And in between this album and this next one, and I'd call it the Gun and Go Gap. Get and Go Gap.
Oh yeah, I know what you're getting at. Yeah, I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
So it's the time in between creation, and I think the Icelandic, not the Vedas, that's Indian, like the Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be like the creation time in between. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I might do it. I don't know. I think people would dig it. I don't know how many Thief fans actually would listen to 40 minutes of ambient work, but
I don't know. I'm such a bad judge of those things. I have no idea.
Me too. We use that track now as the live intro.
Oh, rad.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you guys again, play some new material.
Yeah, after this, we gotta talk about 2022.
Yeah, we do. It's coming up.
It is, I know. This was the last song, I believe the last song made on the album. I knew I wanted a very free-formed, like a hopeless sort of track.
Yeah.
I did these lyrics in the cabin too.
Okay.
Or the vocals, which took some work because it didn't sound great and there was very echoey.
What'd you bring with you? Obviously, laptop, and did you have any outboard gear with you, or like what was that process like?
Yeah, it was a trek, man. I brought my monitors. I have big monitors. Brought my modular synth stuff, which I didn't end up. I don't think I used. My microbrew, my laptop, my PreSonus interface, my LA610, universal audio compressor, couple mics, bunch of cables, and it was too big. The table there wasn't big enough, so I had to get like 2 chairs and stack books on it so the monitors were ear height.
Damn,
it's a bit of a mess, and the room was, should have known, like it was like a cabin, so everything was wood. It didn't sound great in there. It was very echoey, so I had to make do. but not only the vocals, I finished this track there too. So this was the last track I did. That's right. Because I did the cabin at the very end of the album's life. All right, finished mixing and did the screaming vocals, and then I did this track almost in its entirety there.
Okay.
So that's a harpsichord and the mutable instrument rings, which I think I called clouds earlier on accident. So for any... So this is a recording that the Viet Cong used to play in the jungle to discourage U.S. soldiers from continuing on.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember her name, but she had a name. I think she's still alive, the lady whose voice it is. But yeah, they'd set up speakers all throughout the jungle with sounds of people screaming and that lady talking, saying like, "Go home, Americans," you know.
Oh, that's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty haunting. You can find it on YouTube, I think.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I called the rings the clouds earlier. I know this won't make sense to 90% of people, but just editors.
How dare you?
I know. So I've got an alternate ending for this song that if I ever release the extended ending of Loverboy, I would put this on it too.
Okay.
And then actually, it might be a cool idea to do an ambient tape and add these two on it also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the alternative outro for this... It's still very like a washy, haunting sounding thing, but it's just a different version.
Sure.
And the last track.
Last one. Seance for 8 oscillators.
Yep. So I love the IntelliGel Dixie oscillator. I only have 2. So what I did is I recorded recorded 8 different notes with them to make a scale.
Okay.
And then I automated all of them to come in it, so I could on a mixing board, so I could fade them in and out to sort of, so I could play the scale.
Right, I got you.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Yep. Yeah.
So they're all going at once. You were just mixing them in and out, volume wise.
That's right. Yeah. That's how they used to do. They used to use that technique a lot with like early 1960s electronic music.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I do my noise show in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I have all channels blasting, and I'm just mixing in and out and panning and adjusting, and
Yeah. So often, well, no, it's not true.
You're gonna lie to me?
Yeah, I was gonna say something I try to do, but I never end up doing, really.
Oh. Such a great closer.
Yeah. It's a great...
Such a perfect closer.
Yeah, it's a good resolve. And I wanted to do a music video for this one. But I didn't. And the filter I'm using is a Tip Top LP ZZ040. It's a module modeled after the Prophet 5 filter.
Okay.
Real creamy. That was a mistake that I loved. Whatever note that is, I didn't mean to bring that one in.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I was like fucking with them. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, happy accident.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Little character.
Yeah. You can hear like a digital gurgling way in the background. Yeah. Unintentional. It was just an artifact from... I'm not sure how it made it in. That notes channel must have somehow got it in there, from the wires or something. And I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Again, love that stuff.
Yeah.
When you're recording vocals, you mentioned things like singing into tape machines and stuff like that, but when you're doing like most of the time when you're recording vocals, what's your signal path like into your DAW?
Like finals, like when I'm doing like final takes.
Yeah. Like, are you running it through your compressor, your outboard compressor?
Yeah. I'm right. So it's I almost always use Telefunken Copperhead.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye now.
When I first heard that, I laughed so hard. It never even occurred to me that you would do that.
I know. It's such like a... I don't know. I don't want to... To me, it's like... I don't know. It's such a... That's a, pretty moody song, and I like having levity.
It's so perfect. I mean, just from seeing you live so many times, it made me very happy to hear that.
And that's the other thing is like, well, I am bringing in a live element with Thief with some of these tracks being heavier.
Yeah.
And that's how, if you haven't seen Thief live, not you, but whoever's listening, I don't talk. I use the computer to talk. But yeah, the signal path is the Telefunken Copperhead or SMB or SM7B, and goes straight into the LA610 compressor preamp, and then into my interface, which is just a PreSonus FirePod.
Okay,
they're not that great, but they're like it's like $150 and you get 8 channels.
Yeah, that's really good for $150.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I used to do a lot more instrument based stuff like old bands, it was you can record a drum set with that, no problem, sure. And it sounds fine.
Yeah.
And then just straight into my computer. And then I'll do, I think most of the compression is done with the LA610, but I still will use some, what do you call it? In the box compression.
Sure. Use some plugins.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting how people use outboard gear compared to plugins and things like that, and like what people are working with. Most people I know that are kind of in a situation like you and me, like doing like a lot of like home producing and whatever, it seems to be a nice mix between outboard and in the box. And I love that marriage of those two different, the dichotomy there is really great because you can go crazy with plugins. You can go crazy with outboard gear too, but it's going to cost you a fortune. I think it really makes a difference. One thing that I love about Thief is that you do have the electronic elements, but you also have the organic elements. And with my last record, Moonbladder, I was really focused on that too. Yeast Mother was very electronic. It was almost 100% electronic, way too much so. And so Moonbladder, I was like, I'm going to bring in some acoustic drums here and there. I'm going to get some real guitars. I'm going to get some, vocals, like things like that. And like the organic feel of like tube compressors mixed with, like modular synths mixed with plugs. Like that's ideal for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Moonbladder too. That shit's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't need the plug-in game right now is so amazing. Like some of the Waves recreations of like the classic art, they're really good. And to the point where, Andrew Sheps, he's a really accomplished, famous mixer producer, who had millions of dollars in outboard gear, doesn't use it anymore. He went full in the box.
Most producers I know that are like actual professional producers that make a living off of it hardly use any outboard gear. Engineers, when they're recording, they'll use it, but people who are like, we're talking like mixing and a lot of times mastering engineers too, they're all in the box.
Yeah.
I work with a guy here that is a mastering engineer, Timothy Stolenwork. He's amazing, Grammy-nominated mastering engineer, and he uses tons of outboard stuff. But aside from that, like most people are in the box, and because the plugins are so good. Like I've got the Waves SSL collection, and it's
so good. That's what I use too.
Yeah, I mean, like the compressor, and it's just it's so transparent. I just throw like a little bit of like an SSL compressor on my master bus, just like catch those peaks, and man, it just glues everything together in such a nice way. It's amazing.
Yeah. I use that SSL compressor on pretty often on vocals. I would say on Map of Lost Keys, it's on every vocal track.
I use a lot of the plugin or the Pro Tools default plugins too. Like the compressor is really good, the EQ is really good, but man, that SSL
it's great.
Yeah, and I got a lot of those Chris Lord Algae things too. Like I've got like his vocal pack and his bass pack, and the vocal pack is amazing. Like it's all over the Last Sculptured record.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I gotta listen and see if I can spot it. Because I like some of the Chris Lord Algae ones. I like his the compressed. God, I can't remember the actual outboard they're emulating with his strictly compressors. The blacky bluey one. But I remember not loving his vocal one or the guitar one. I think I like the bass one, but I didn't play with it too much.
Yeah, I like the vocal one. Because you can start with I don't remember what it's called, but it's like male vocal preset, and you can start with that, tweak it, and then what I'll do is I'll run that and any other vocals to auxiliary with some delay and stuff like that on it too. But I think it's a really great starting point to get mostly the compression on there. I thought was really great. So I use those CLA things a lot.
I can't remember the CLA compressor I love. Oh well.
Yeah.
It's out there. It knows it's loved.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm way into that. I'm way into the outboard stuff. I have a lot of outboard stuff, and honestly, none of it's even plugged in right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was my goal for this year I've pretty much got my studio dialed in. But my goal for this year was to take every cable out of everything, rewire everything. I mean, I've got this whole like amazing setup of rack gear, and it's not wired, so I never use it.
Right.
But if I spent, a day wiring everything up, getting everything like all perfect, I would use it, and now I just don't. But I don't miss it though either, So the only thing I really do like doing is I've got some pretty great preamps, like 2 preamps, and I love to record vocals and like synths and stuff like that through there and get some of that natural like tube dirt in there.
Yeah, that is one thing I have not been able to reproduce to my ears with plugins. is like the LA610's like overdrive tube dirt it sounds so perfect.
Yeah.
And I never have to touch it. Like maybe I'll EQ a little, like I'll do a high pass, to get some low end gunk out of there. But like,
yeah,
it's almost like set it and forget it. You can hear it on what's it called? Night Spikes.
Okay.
Is overdriving the tube in the LA610.
Yeah. Especially for vocals, it adds so much character that I love doing that. So, I'll use that here and there, but I got to spend more time with it too. It's so easy to just pull up a plugin.
I know. And there is something to be said to, I love having the hands-on control.
Yeah, me too.
And just flipping around. And I think you learn a lot more about signal flow and synthesis or whatever by tweaking it on your own.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, that's part of the reason I've always used a MIDI controller for my Pro Tools. So I have like an actual mixer where I can use the faders, I can use the pots, all that.
Yeah.
It's not always 100% necessary, but especially for mixing, I love to do automation with actual faders.
Oh, that's an art form right there. Just the nuanced, little poke on the fader.
Yeah. And I love it. I feel like it makes my mixing a lot better. And I can do, I had the Command 8 before this, but now I have the new S1. So I can do 8 tracks at once of automation. And so for certain things, it's great. I can just, like old school, it feels old school. You're just putting your fingers on the faders and you're just feeling it. But the great thing is, like, you fuck up, you just go back. You don't have to recall all this shit like in the old days. But I love doing that. And that's pretty much what I use the MIDI controller for, is mostly just like automation of mostly volume, but I do it with panning and things like that too. But man, it's a great tool. I love it.
I used to do that a lot with the APC 40, which is an interface that is made for Ableton. So you just plug it in and all the parameters are mapped automatically. And
that's awesome.
I used to write a lot with it. What's the track? Skin to Jade off the first album is all externally sequenced.
Okay,
so I'm like bringing everything in on its own using the APC because it's so jammable.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, and having said that, then there's something to be said for not worrying about any of that shit and just going for it. And that's the problem I get into sometimes is playing around with tones so much on VSTs or things like that. I'm like, I got to find the perfect synth. Like, this is good, but maybe I can find something better. And then, but what if I EQ it this way? What if I distort it this way? And,
too many options. Too many options.
Yeah.
Like some people, and Chris does this. As soon as he gets the take he likes and a general sound, he'll bounce the stem. And so he can't go back and edit it.
I've done that a few times.
I always regret it.
Yeah, me too.
I know. I'm so fiddly,
Yeah.
But we should do. Did I ever tell you about the 20 song game?
I don't think so.
I can't remember the actual title of the game, but ICS, International Composers Society, I think it's called. Anyway, you get a group of friends, or just one other friend, and you have 24 hours to either write 20 songs or 20 minutes worth of music.
Okay.
And then at the end of the session, and you do it all alone. Everyone does their own thing.
Yeah.
And then at the next day, after 24 hours, you all listen to each other's stuff.
Interesting.
And it's, you have fun. But it's a great way to completely strip yourself of any like luxury of fiddling and finding the right tone.
You got to get it done. Yeah.
You got to get it done. And you can have a prize or something if whoever actually gets 20 songs, because most, so there used to be like a community online where you could just join other people's groups and you could meet up at someone's house. And I did that a couple of times. You just meet, random people. And, yeah, really, it's really fun. And you end up I usually end up, let's say if I make 15 or 18 tracks, 2 or 3 of those usually end up a killer song later.
Right.
You know, I'll go back and start, you know, fleshing it out. Trying to think what song I've released that is like that. Frost Breath.
Oh, really? That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So I was doing the game with an old friend from Orange County, and I think I only ended up doing like 7 songs, and I was like, I'm too tired, and I just stopped. But yeah, Frost Breath was came from the 20 song game.
I kind of feel like my friend Adam from Secret Chiefs 3 was telling me about that. He had something like that.
Yeah, I believe actually I remember hearing that. Okay, so do you know the band? Oh fuck! There's the like Baby is in the name. They were
Stolen
in
Babies.
that. Yeah. Stolen Babies. Yeah. I went to a 20 song game night. And the singer, the girl, I don't remember her name, was there.
Okay.
And I think I remember hearing from her that one of the guys from Secret Chiefs says that.
Yeah, I think that Adam told me about that just a few months ago, actually, and he had a bunch of recordings laying around from that. Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
20 songs in a day, though. I mean, that's
24 hours.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Most people don't hit the 20 song mark.
20 minutes? Yeah, I could do 20 minutes in a day.
I could easily do 20 minutes. Yeah. You know, I could just fucking flip on some drone.
Right.
You know, like
here we are. Done. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super fun. I haven't done it in years, but we should set something up one day and do it.
That'd be cool. I'd be way into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love challenges like that, you know, like just gets you out of like what your normal workflow is and what your normal like mindset is. And, you know, I told you I'm working on this solo record that is just stripped down. Like it's not what I usually do. It's very, usually I'm trying to do too much all the time musically. And I'm just trying to chill out and stretch things out. And, it's hard. It's hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no time for criticism, you know, like in your mind when you're doing that. And I think that sort of spontaneity opens up some very valuable creative paths.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
You know, it's like, you know, it's you're basically improvising in a way.
Yeah.
And
that's something else I'm really trying to embrace lately is more the improvisation. You know, it's pretty new for me. Right before the pandemic, I was doing it. I was doing live shows by myself and with other people, like Ron Verode, and we just get up out there and just play for 30 minutes without ever rehearsing. And it's very freeing. It's very mind opening and expanding. And I was really starting to get into that. And then COVID put an end to that. But I'm hoping this next year to start doing more of that stuff where I can flex that muscle, because it's just something I've never really done before.
It feels so good, like when you, if you're doing it with someone else and you like lock into something. Oh, yeah. It's so cool. Oh man, I don't know how good it sounds to the other people, but you know,
that kind of doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, fuck that.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what you're doing, obviously. But dude, it reminds me of that show we played in Eugene. With the,
oh god, that was so cool.
That was so amazing.
What are they called again? What is it called?
Eugene Difficult Music Ensemble.
Yeah, I think I have to re-listen to that because I haven't listened to it since, I don't know, since you sent me the actual recording. I think I listened to it, you know, once and sent it to Robert and had a laugh and enjoyed it.
Oh man, it was so great. Like they're like a experimental group from Eugene, Oregon, and they invite people that are playing at this venue. What is it? Old Nick's Pub in Eugene. And I played, Thief played, and then they played, and then they're like, "Oh, like you should play. Let's all play together."
To the video projection thing.
Yes, of like cymbals and stuff, right?
Yeah, there are visual cues going along like a grid almost,
yeah,
and you interpret it however you want.
Not notes though, just visual cues.
Right.
That was crazy.
It was so fun.
That was the last show I played. That's the last show I've played. So that's been almost 2 years.
Might be. I mean, we've played one show. Well, we played a show, an album release show. But since then, I wonder if that's the last one we played too.
Yeah.
Might have been. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like right before everything shut down. That was late February 2020.
I remember just like reading in the news, like, damn, have you read about this COVID thing?
I know.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Man, China's got to get their shit together.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell,
and then
man?
Boom.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nuts. I remember we played that show and then I went home and I remember telling my friends, like, man, that went so well. We did this like short tour. It was amazing. So great. I'm ramping up to do more. And then it was literally the next week. My work was like, you're working from home until further notice. And like everywhere is like, hey, we're shutting down. And then all of a sudden like, oh, people are dying. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I'm supposed to be playing more shows. What's going on here?
Right. Oh, so you transitioned earlier. I think it hit the Pacific Northwest harder first than it did LA.
I think so. Seattle got it really bad.
Yeah, Seattle and San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then, because it wasn't for a little while that I was still having to go into the office at the day job before they told us to not come in.
Yeah. Yeah, it was only like a week or so after that Eugene show. Then they're like, oh, don't bother coming back in for a while. So, and I've been working.
Are you back to work now?
Nope. It looks like it's going to be permanent.
Yes. Yeah. See, there's a silver lining in all of this.
There is. Yeah.
Is that these fucking antiquated dinosaur like ideas that you have to be in an office to be productive is going out the window. I actually I'm changing jobs right now. I just put in my 2 weeks. And a big part of it was because they wanted us eventually to come back into office still. And they had tried several times during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't fucking do that. Like, not only for like health reasons because of COVID, but like, dude, my work-life balance and happiness has skyrocketed being able to work from home. And I know some people like going to the office, but
but fuck them.
Fuck them. Yeah. I don't, work is work. I don't, it's not, I don't get into the community spirit at work. Yeah. That's not my jam.
I love my job and I love my coworkers, but man, it's great to not have to spend an hour in a commute every day. And it's great to, if it's slow at work, I'm still working, but I can also, I've written music while working. I've mixed records while working. It's just, it depends on what's going on. And like, for me, that's just a total game changer. Or even just like throwing in a load of laundry or
oh my God, dude,
saying hi to my wife or my kids, it's just, it's amazing. So
great. So great.
Yeah. Looks like it's permanent for me.
Lucky you. My new job, I have to go in once a week.
It could be a lot worse.
And for that, and for like, it's like a pay bump and everything, I'm just like, okay, that's fine. Once a week is much better than eventually having to go in full time or even part time.
Yeah.
So.
Damn. Yeah. Well, that's great. I'm glad you're able to do that.
Yeah. Hopefully it goes well.
Much better for your physical and mental health, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Oh. I'm an old man now.
Yeah, me too.
Getting tired at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, this has been awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the record or mention? We should talk real quick. You mentioned that you're writing a new record. Is that far enough along to talk about, or?
Yeah, a little bit. There's not much to say about it yet. I'm still finding my way with how exactly it's going to be, but pretty much right after 16 Deaths came out, I was writing new stuff, experimenting, and so I've got probably, this sounds a lot more than it is. I've got like 10 tracks, maybe 12 that I like.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to finish them all. And they're not going to all be on the album. But whatever, like maybe 2 that really come out the best, I'm probably going to use those to help shape the rest of the album.
Okay.
And each one of those like 10, 12 tracks, they're quite different. They're all sort of going in different direction. You know, there's a couple of them that are really mellow and sad. There's a couple of them that are really heavy. There's a couple of them that are like super IDM.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think before I really embark on the next, when I really start, you know, getting solidified in the tracks, I'm playing with the idea of having it be a concept album.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that yet, because I'm not a huge fan of concept albums in general, but I like the idea of having it almost play out like a novel in a way.
Right.
Because you can make really cool connections.
Yes, you can.
Throughout the album. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe.
And live next year? Or this year?
Yeah. We have one show coming up on December 10th. It's a free show here in LA. And then next year, I'm hoping spring 2022.
Yeah.
It's I can't find anyone in LA that wants or that can tour. So, I don't know. I'd love to come up to Pacific Northwest again, do some shows with you.
Definitely.
And at the very least, you know, I might do, not the fucking Midwest. What do you call it? Arizona and New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
do a long weekend tour. Yeah, it's been tough finding shows. A lot of places closed down.
Yep.
The mid-sized to bigger venues are like so book solid.
Yeah.
Well,
I know,
and it would be great. Go ahead.
Well, I know Azoth in Portland is now open for business.
Oh, really?
Yep. We just opened up.
Oh, great.
We're doing like a slow open, but we had our first event last week. We're starting to book events slowly but surely.
Hell yeah. Congrats.
Thank you. And I know that Substation in Seattle is now having shows as of next week. So
is that where we played?
No, we played the Highline.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Substation. I've actually never been to Substation, but next week, To End It All and Spirit Possession and Sutek Hexen are playing a show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So there's some places up here to play.
Botanist played a show once with Sutek.
Oh, really?
Hexen.
I love Sutek.
Yeah. And the dude, can't remember his name, from there, did the art, the layout for the first Thief album.
Oh, Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin.
Yep.
Kevin, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did the art for that. Okay, that's awesome.
The layout, yeah.
The layout. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, cool, man.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a million things I could say about 16 Deaths that I'll remember as soon as we sign off.
Of course. Well, you can just text me in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Will do, yeah.
Yeah, well, I have one question left. Why do you hate music?
Oh, man, it's so fucking... Music's so pretentious, and everyone gets involved in their stories, you know?
Yep.
And fucking... Why does this snare always have to fall on the, same spot?
Yeah.
I was thinking that the other day. I was like driving, listening to music, and I was going to see my dad, and I was like, it's all these fucking drum beats the same.
Yeah.
It's always like, how do I fuck this up? How do I really fuck this up?
Yeah.
So I started thinking about that, and then I was like, well, it works. I think there's something about, at least in Western
yes
brains where that is the form that we're used to and that makes sense to us. You know,
you're totally right. I mean, snares are usually very predictable.
It's why has it got to be on the 3?
Yeah.
Or the 2? I don't know.
I mean, it depends on
something
on the
in
beat,
our brain,
obviously, but yeah. I mean, you're totally right. So many drum beats are just like, oh, that's just what I've heard before a million times.
You know the thing I hate about music. I say this very lightly, but I think it's so important to search for underground, unknown music, because if you're just listening to the radio or the bigger bands in the underground, you're the music that you're receiving is being filtered.
Yes.
And especially with pop music, radio music, you're hearing music that is often coming from someone who probably had a privileged life or something, which is fine. But you're getting you're missing out on perspectives that you are not going to get from like outsider music or bedroom artists who don't want to be big. They just like making tunes, and so
that's definitely true.
That's a thought. Yeah,
it's about experiencing other viewpoints and other cultures and other walks of life. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, I wear the "I hate music" T-shirt all the fucking time.
Do you? That's great.
Oh, not only does it fit and feel amazing, and I look great in it, but it's I just love the statement.
Yeah,
it's such an aggressive, non-aggressive statement.
Yeah,
like it's, and people like it. They're like, that shirt's rad.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's my buddy's podcast. You should check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I named the podcast "I Hate Music" because there's this crazy band from Ohio called Fossil Fuel, and they had a song called "I Hate Music," and it was ridiculous, but I love it. And the chorus is something like, "I hate music. It's full of fuck, and if you listen to it, it'll make you dumb." And I'm like, there's something just so appropriate about that. And then over the years, doing this podcast and just, having my life's focus on music so much, it's really interesting to hear what people say and like why do they hate music? The first person I asked actually was Dan Swano from Edge of Sanity and Bloodbath and Pandemonium and all those bands. And he had the perfect answer, which has always been my internal answer, is that it's all consuming and it's all I think about day and night.
See, that is the answer I wish I had.
And that's the perfect answer. It's all consuming. And it can cost you all sorts of things, in your life if you're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. From relationships to money to greed to jealousy and envy to
sanity
sanity, sleep, hearing loss,
erectile dysfunction.
Yeah,
that's a big
one. And it'll make your kids use drugs and worship Satan.
Teenage Satanists, hopefully.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's the music's fault.
No, I love your answer too. I mean, it's all kind of goes back to, similar ideas, I feel like, but I appreciate you wearing the shirt. I am running low on those shirts and hoodies, actually, and I've already got my next design in mind as soon as I run out of these. And I'll
pick up a hoodie of the next one.
Cool. I'm really excited about the next one. It's
hell yeah.
It's going to be rad. Dylan, thank you again for joining me. This has been amazing. I love your record. I love your work, and I love you.
I love you too.
Let's play some shows next year or ASAP.
Hell yeah.
For anybody listening, go to earthandsound.org for Everything that I do. This podcast, my merch line. I just came out with some amazing, beautiful Thief shirts and hoodies.
Yes, he did.
God, they're so great. I just got them a couple days ago. There's only a few left, so check that out. Beautiful long sleeves, beautiful hoodies. I've also got designs from Confessor, Disharmonic Orchestra. Just so
limited editions.
Limited editions. They're all super high quality, very comfortable, limited edition designs. I just sold out of Sculptured, sold out of Nuclear Death. Got some things in the works right now that I'm very excited about. Plus, you can get my recordings from bands like Snares of Sixes, Karada, Dolvin, all the other shit that I do.
Hell yeah.
So check that out, and please go to Thief's Bandcamp to support Thief. And look for a Thief and Jason Walton show near you next year, hopefully.
Hell yeah. Dolvin sounds like my half-breed cave-dwelling brother.
Oh, yes, it does. That's great.
Dolvin, come here, Dolvin.
Arr.
You can only say Dolvin.
Yeah.
Dolvin.
Right, yeah. Dolvin.
Dylan and Dolvin.
Dolvin.
Right.
That's amazing. All right, Dylan, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, dude.
All right, talk soon.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
An Earth in Sound production.